All right, folks, welcome back to Crisis Report. Sorry this is in the morning, but we are just a little too busy and it would have gotten out too late yesterday. So we are going to be doing it here, doing it now, and we hope you enjoy it. We're just going to get straight to the facts and get through it. Thanks for being here. Hit the buttons and stuff, and we will see you on the next one tonight, but this is for right now. 5:30. 2025, ceasefire has been rejected between Hamas and Israel. Here we go. Washington and Tehran are close to reaching a comprehensive nuclear deal. It could be signed at the next meeting, according to CNN, citing familiar forces. White House believes it is close to reaching the agreement that could be ending the war. If Israel and Hamas take steps, could reach an agreement to end the war in Gaza in a few days. Not happening. Elon Musk says, as my schedule of time as a special envoy, government employee, comes to an end, I would like to thank President Trump for the opportunity to reduce wasteful spending. Doge mission will only strengthen over time as it becomes a way of life throughout the government. New, a U.S. federal court has blocked Donald Trump's tariffs. Court of International Trade ruled that an emergency law invoked by the White House does not give the president unilateral authority to impose tariffs on nearly every country in the world. Ruling gave the White House 10 days to complete the bureaucratic process of halting the tariffs. White House unelected judges have no right to decide how to properly handle a national security emergency. British military will spend more than 1 billion euros on artificial intelligence and a hacking attack team. British Defense Secretary John Heatley said, "The keyboard is now a weapon of war, and we are responding to that," according to the Telegraph. Lockheed Martin plans to develop a version of the F-35 that can fly without a pilot, according to the company's CEO, Jim Tyklet. Russian Foreign Ministry says that Moscow needs a legally binding mechanism to ensure that the crisis in Ukraine does not resume. U.S. has halted jet engine tech exports to China. U.S. suspended exports of the engine components and semiconductor tech to China, targeting COMAC's C919 program. Move comes in retaliation for Beijing's mineral export restrictions, which threaten U.S. supply chains. C919 jet relies on parts from GE Aerospace and Safran. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz has not ruled out the possibility of supplying Taurus cruise missiles to Ukraine. Elon Musk denies 300 million XAI Telegram deal finalized. Elon Musk has denied that XAI signed any formal deal with Telegram, despite CEO Pavel Durov's announcement of a $300 million partnership to integrate Grok into the app. Durov had claimed the deal included cash, equity, and 50% revenue sharing, set to launch in summer 2025, but Elon Musk responded, no deal has been signed. Durov later clarified the agreement was only in principle. U.S. is going to revoke visa to Chinese students. Trump's administration will start revoking visas of Chinese students tied to the Communist Party or studying key sectors like semiconductors and aerospace. This will have an impact on 277,000 Chinese students in the U.S. CIA used Star Wars fan site for PSYOPs. CIA secretly ran a Star Wars fan site, StarWarsWeb.net, as a covert messaging hub for spies. Disguised with game reviews and Lego ads, the site let agents unlock hidden intel portals into secret passwords, but sloppy digital practices exposed the network leading to arrests and deaths of CIA informants in China and Iran. Researchers uncovered the operation using web archives, and today the site redirects to the CIA homepage. Interesting. Netanyahu says this war of good against evil, it's being fought against human, animals, monsters, and we will defeat them. We will wipe them out. They will not remain, he said. White House Press Secretary Leavitt says electricians, plumbers are needed more in those in our country than less of the rainbow people graduates from Harvard University. That's what this administration's position is, and that is correct. 6th Gen air war has begun from the U.S. NGAD to Turkey's KAAN follow-on, China's stealthy J-36. The race for 6th generation air dominance is heating up fast. Trump still hopes to develop an economic partnership with Russia. He sees new sanctions as an escalation that could derail hopes of a ceasefire in Ukraine. The leaders of Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Qatar told Trump they oppose military strikes on Iran's nuclear program and urged him to make a deal. United States National Economic Council of Directors, Haslett, says the judge's decision on tariffs will be overturned. It has. Hamas says we received Wyckoff's new proposal from the mediators and are studying it responsibly to achieve the interests of our people and a permanent ceasefire. Netanyahu says we accept Wyckoff's new plan. Zelensky says words with Moscow do not work. Even the so-called memorandum that they promised and supposedly prepared for more than a week, no one has seen yet. They did not hand it over to Ukraine, another Russian deception. They're doing everything they can to make the meetings futile. Russia is advancing in its fastest pace since November 2024, seeing an average of 5.5 square miles per day in May. According to the New York Times, Russian forces are just 27 kilometers from Sumy as the Kremlin rapidly expands its so-called buffer zone, advancing near Novoselki, Vodolha, Lukhnia, and Belovody. Israel and Hamas have agreed to begin a ceasefire within hours, according to Israel Channel 12. That is not true. Israel approved 22 new settlements in the West Bank. Israel has authorized 22 new Jewish settlements in the occupied West Bank, its largest expansion in decades. The move includes legalizing outposts and rebuilding evacuated sites like Homesh and Sanur. Palestinians and international bodies condemn it as illegal and destabilizing, citing UN resolutions. Some Western allies warn of a possible sanctions. United States hopes that Russia and Ukraine will hold a new round of direct talks next week. United States State Department says the U.S. will not tolerate Chinese Communist Party's exploitation of U.S. universities or theft of U.S. research intellectual property. Interesting. Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service claims Serbian arms firms are secretly supplying Ukraine despite Belgrade's neutrality. Fake end-user certificates in third-country intermediaries, mainly NATO and like Czechia, Poland, Bulgaria, are used. Some African countries are also involved. Deliveries include hundreds of thousands of shells and 1 million rounds of ammo. Major Serbian firms involved are Yugo Import, SPDR, Krušik, Prvi, Partizan, and others. Trump has ordered an end to coordination with Israel on a joint strike against Iran's nuclear facilities, according to Channel 12. Marco Rubio announced that there will be no more visas for Chinese students. U.S. will begin revoking visas of Chinese students, including those with connections to the Chinese Communist Party or studying in critical fields. Netanyahu is not interested in Trump's opinion and is preparing for an attack on Iran despite the possibility of a deal between the U.S. and Iran, New York Times and Ynet report. Even if a nuclear deal is reached between the U.S. and Iran, Netanyahu is prepared to launch a bombing campaign on Iran on his own that will last for several days and target Tehran. Question remains as of how Iran is prepared to respond, whether it will raise Israel, which will latest promise to attack, showed it has the capacity if it does not remain silent. This guy is super pro-Iran. Multiple reports say Hamas and Israel have agreed to a 60-day truce. U.S. envoy Wyckoff has been informed both parties, Israel and Palestinians, are accepting the deal. That's not true. Hamas feels that the U.S. administration has trapped it and formulated a proposal loyal to Israel that does not guarantee an end to the war. All prisoners in Israel will be in Israel within a week, and it is fully adopting Israeli conditions, according to Israeli Channel 15. He said they are still deciding. China has successfully tested its first reusable rocket, similar concept of Elon Musk's SpaceX rocket developed by a private aerospace company, SUBSTACK, launched and landed without issue. Huge glacier has collapsed in the Swiss Alps, almost completely destroying a village in the valley of its foot. 90% of the village of Blatten is now underground. 300 residents were evacuated a week and a half ago after the glacier was discovered to be moving. One person is currently missing. Russian nuclear, the terrifying data leak. They know everything from A to Z. I think it is the worst leak of classified document in world military history, says Xavier Titleman, aeronautics and defense specialist. Gave them all the nuclear bunkers, everything, the layouts, the plans. They know where all of their nuclear stuff is now. U.S. has no information about Hamas's response to the ceasefire proposal, State Department spokesman Tammy Bruce said. White House said it would let you know if it decides to send a representative to the talks between Ukraine and Russia. Meanwhile, Russian Foreign Ministry spokesman Zakharova said that the Russian delegation at the talks on June 2nd in Istanbul will remain unchanged. Trump administration pressured Netanyahu to accept the Wyckoff ceasefire deal, according to Al-Hadath. Thing to understand about student visas is that most colleges are selling tickets to naturalization more than education, hence rampant cheating, low-quality students. Even if we should be selling citizenship, why should colleges be able to privatize the gains? Also, one of the 9/11 hijackers was on a student visa, and 2 more got them after the attack for flight school. That is link, of course, in PrepperNow.substack.com. Takes you to that. Oxford Economics Report finds employment for 22 to 27-year-old college grads in computer science and mathematical occupations is down 8% since 2022. Recent and experienced college graduate unemployment ratios have always been lower than the national average until now. Matt Zeitline, entry-level white-collar jobs are disappearing as the big story. Right now, what happens is the job market in politics, in the housing market, if the unemployment rate for recent college grads is 10%. One of the great unbarking dogs in American politics is that there's no upswell of support for entitlement cuts among young people. Does that change as a more conservative generation of young people has trouble finding jobs? I think it does. Great question. China could try to seize Taiwan's outer islands, claiming an intelligence report. U.S. intelligence report says China may try to seize Taiwan's outlying islands to pressure Taipei and test Washington. U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency released its worldwide threat assessment earlier this month. Per The Independent, it identifies Beijing's possible attempt to seize outlying islands such as Kinmen, Matsu, Dongcha, Taiping Island, or Penghu as one of its potential military options short of an all-out invasion of Taiwan. It goes on if you'd like to read that on the crisis report, but we are crunched for time. U.S. manufacturing sector has been in a downturn for the last 30 months. This is the longest recessionary downturn in history. Most recent EPB weekly update, we compare the depth to duration of the 12 manufacturing downturns since 1963. It's been decades. We've been going down, 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 down. San Francisco is poised to introduce equity grading. This will give students who makes a reasonable effort a grade of at least 50%. Students will not be penalized for not doing work at all. This is all to eliminate socioeconomic disparities that grading reinforces. There is a consultant involved who will train teachers in the new system at a cost to the taxpayers. This is all ridiculous. It's called a floor grade. Districts and inner cities do it. They basically say you can't get lower than a 50%. So it's nothing new, and it's nothing that will work. 1960, just 1% of Harvard's incoming class came from abroad. In 1990, the number was still only 4%. Flooding of American universities with unending hordes of foreigners, a shift that has profoundly reshaped campuses across the country, a strikingly recent phenomenon. U.S. Appeals Court reinstates Trump's tariffs during appeal. U.S. Fed chair has met with Trump, saying the bank decisions must be non-political. Trump told Fed chair he was making a mistake by not cutting rates, according to the White House. 2 members of the NYPD, including one assigned to Mayor Eric Adams' detail, have been placed on modified duty after authorities discovered their connection to 2 crypto entrepreneurs charged with kidnapping and torturing an Italian tourist. Oof. Senior Trump administration official says Elon Musk will continue to serve as the unofficial advisor to the president and could potentially attend White House meetings in the future, according to ABC. Elon Musk announces SpaceX is aiming to produce 3 starships per day. Texas Governor Greg Abbott is going to sign a bill that illegally recognizes only 2 genders, male and female, into state law. According to Amit Segal, this is the Wyckoff new proposal. 9 live hostages, 18 bodies to be released, 2 waves. First week, 1 less live hostage. 60-day ceasefire for negotiations on ending the fighting, at the end of which Israel can return to fighting if there is no agreement, or continue negotiations in exchange for the release of additional hostages. Aid will return through the UN and not through the American company. IDF will withdraw from the territories occupied since the last ceasefire. In my opinion, this is a shameful proposal. UN will make sure that to revive Hamas. Hamas is weakest point in this time. It will double up on all the pressure and actually demand the release of all living hostages. Only good part here is that Israel can go back to fighting at the end of the 60 days. Netanyahu will have a hard time selling this outline to the government, war cabinet, to the public. He got it sold, but Hamas said no. Other new details, clarification of this. 10 hostages will be released, not 9. First day 5, then 9 hostages will be released. On the 7th day 5, 9 hostages will be released. President Trump will declare a ceasefire, guarantee that all parties are respecting the deal. Israel will immediately stop the offensive military operations. Israel will release in exchange 10 live hostages, 125 prisoners, 1,111 Gazan prisoners who were arrested after October 7th. In exchange for the 18 dead hostages, Israel will release 180 bodies of Gazans, also in 2 stages. On the 10th day, Hamas will deliver a complete list that includes a detailed medical report on the condition of the living hostages in Gaza. U.S., Egypt, and Qatar will be guarantors of the ceasefire. Envoy Wyckoff will arrive in the region to finally close the detail of the deals. Hamas official tells BBC they reject the new Wyckoff deal. It does not meet key demands. They go on from there. Ron DeSantis says that America would not exist without Israel, calling it the cradle of Western civilization. Anthony Weiner is going to be on The View tomorrow to talk about his run for New York City, and he got arrested for doing terrible things with a young girl. And North Korea has supplied Russia with 9 million shells and 100 missiles, according to a report. September 2023 to 2024, North Korea transferred approximately 9 million artillery shells and over 100 ballistic missiles to Russia, according to a UN-backed report of the multinational sanctions monitoring team. It goes on from there. Thank you so much for being here on the Crisis Report. We will have another one tonight. God bless and have a great Friday. See you next one.